Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to look at mechanical gears almost like they're characters in a video game. We're going to figure out exactly how their unique powers and abilities work together to solve massive real-world problems. Whether you realize it or not, our modern world is entirely dependent on these simple toothed wheels. They're hiding in your washing machine, they're ticking away inside analog watches, and they are out there hauling massive amounts of rock out of the earth. Today, we're going to learn how to master them.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the basics in Welcome to Gear Systems, then meet our main players in the 4 gear types. After that, we'll cover the unbreakable rules of speed, force, and direction, discover the secret behind the magic of idlers, and finally, take on our boss-level challenge, a real-life mining headgear case study.
All right, let's jump right in with Section 1, Welcome to Gear Systems.
So, what exactly is a gear? Well, at its most basic level, you can just think of a gear as a round lever. When 2 or more of these toothed wheels lock or mesh together, they create what engineers call a gear train. And these gear trains are incredibly versatile. They can be microscopic, precisely transferring tiny amounts of force inside an antique pocket watch. Or they can be absolutely massive, like the colossal gears used in mine headgears that are literally the size of a multi-story building. But no matter their size, their job is essentially the exact same, changing an input into an output by altering speed, turning force, or direction.
Now here's the really cool part, the math that powers it all. It's basically our cheat code for figuring out just how much a gear system helps us do work. Don't let the formula intimidate you, it's super simple. You just take the number of teeth on your driven gear, that's the one receiving the power, and divide it by the number of teeth on your driver gear, the one generating the power. The result is your mechanical advantage. If that number is greater than 1, the system is multiplying your force, making incredibly heavy jobs a whole lot easier.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 gear types. Let's meet the 4 main characters of our mechanical game. First up is the spur gear. This is your classic bread-and-butter gear with straight-edged teeth parallel to the axle. It's super common, perfect for regulating speed or force in things like washing machines and egg beaters. Next, we have the bevel gear. Imagine a gear shaped kind of like a cone. Because of this angled shape, bevel gears are absolute masters at changing the direction of rotation, usually by exactly 90 degrees. You'll actually find these in hand drills and, believe it or not, dentist drills. Then there's the rack and pinion. This one's unique because it takes a normal round gear, the pinion, and rolls it along a flat strip of teeth called the rack. This transforms spinning, rotary motion, into straight linear motion. It's exactly how turning your car's steering wheel moves the tires left and right. Finally, the worm gear. This features a shaft with a continuous screw thread that meshes with a standard spur gear. The superpower of the worm gear is delivering a massive amount of turning force with very little input effort. It's the reason you can so easily tighten the strings on a guitar.
Next up, Section 3, Speed, Force, and Direction. Okay, here's an unbreakable rule of physics you absolutely need to know. Counter-rotation. When the driver gear generating the power turns one way, say clockwise, the driven gear it touches is physically forced to turn the exact opposite way, meaning anti-clockwise. They will always spin in opposite directions when directly connected. The size of the gears doesn't even matter for this rule. If they touch, they counter-rotate.
Now let's walk through the step-by-step logic of what happens when these meshed gears aren't the same size. Imagine a giant driver gear meshing with a tiny driven gear. Because that large gear has so many more teeth, just one single rotation of it will force the small gear to spin around multiple times. It acts just like an accelerator, dramatically increasing the speed or the velocity ratio. But remember our math formula? Because the driven gear is smaller, our mechanical advantage drops to less than 1.
And this leads us to the ultimate golden rule, the constant trade-off. It's kind of like a seesaw. You can boast your speed to crazy levels, but you literally have to pay for it by losing your turning force. If you want a machine to run incredibly fast, you will lose a ton of strength in the process. On the flip side, if you want super strength, you have to use a small gear to drive a big gear, giving you massive force, but at a very slow speed. You simply can't have both.
Which brings us to Section 4, the magic of idlers.
So, think about this mechanical puzzle for a second. If connecting 2 gears always makes them spin in opposite directions, how on earth do we get an input handle and an output wheel to spin the exact same way?
The answer is the incredibly clever idler gear. Think of it as the ultimate middleman. By dropping this little gear directly between your driver and driven gears, you create a 3-gear train. So, the driver turns clockwise, forcing the idler to turn anti-clockwise. And because the idler is turning anti-clockwise, it forces that final driven gear to turn clockwise. Boom! Perfect synchronization.
But there's a huge engineering catch here. Since that idler gear is wedged right in the middle, it has to constantly mesh with both the driver and the driven gear. It literally does double the work and faces double the friction. Because of that intense stress, it absolutely has to be manufactured from much harder, ultra-durable metals. If you made it out of the exact same stuff as the bigger gears, it would quickly wear out and break the entire machine.
All right, time for Section 5. Case Study Mining Headgear.
Welcome to the boss level. Let's apply all of this to a real-world scenario. Picture this. You're in rural South Africa, an area that is famously rich in minerals like coal, copper, iron ore, and platinum. Suddenly, a commercially viable platinum reef is discovered sitting at a relatively shallow depth of about 500 meters underground. Your company is bidding on the contract to build the massive shaft headgear. Your goal, you need to design a system powerful enough to safely lower miners down to the work level and strong enough to haul incredibly heavy loads of ore and waste back up to the surface.
To win this contract, you'll need to use everything we just talked about in 4 precise steps. First, because we're lifting heavy rock, you calculate for a high mechanical advantage to get massive force multiplication. Second, you connect unequal spur gears to perfectly control your velocity ratio, because you definitely don't want those elevator cages dropping too fast. Third, you drop in a super tough idler gear so your motor and your winding drum spin in a synchronized direction. And finally, step 4. Because your heavy-duty motor sits flat on the ground horizontally, but your elevator cable goes straight down vertically, you use bevel gears to cleanly transfer that axis of rotation exactly 90 degrees.
It's truly amazing how all these basic concepts come together, right? By just strategically calculating and arranging simple, toothed levers, we can construct absolute mechanical giants capable of lifting massive payloads right out of the earth. You've got the cheat codes, you know the characters, and you understand the constant trade-off between speed and power. So having unlocked the secrets of gear systems, my final question to you is, are you ready to step up, use these tools, and build the machine that conquers the mountain?